Alright, so this is the futuristic vehicle we're looking to create. Maybe it's a futuristic dune buggy type of thing. I actually sketched this up very quickly in ZBrush. I took a bunch of major shapes and used some live booleans and rotations and things like that, and ended up basically getting this. It looks like it's a lot of fun. Obviously, it's not a detailed model. We do want to add the details, or in some of the details, like some of the crease lines with metal, and maybe even a few covers and such that we want to be able to put onto the model in Maya. But this was to give an idea of the planes and the shapes we're looking to build. As you can see, it's not super complicated, but it does look like it should be a lot of fun for us. I'm not quite sure if I'm looking to add something into this area right here. It's just kind of a flat area. We have a jet engine in the back. I don't know if I want to put anything there. I might just build it up a little bit so that it covers the jet engine or the engine area completely. Or, of course, you can look to add in, I don't know, machine guns or something else in that area if you'd like. You can build it up. I don't expect you to do exactly what I'm doing. This is a loose tutorial. This is the basic idea of what we're looking to build, and obviously your model will end up looking something like this, but the sort of details you want to look to add in, especially for your final model, is strictly up to you, and have fun with it. As long as you're happy with the end results, that's all that matters. But this is the model we'll be looking to build and in Maya, and then drop into KeyShot for final renders. So there is, like for the tires will be rubber, and maybe the body will be a composite black metal type of thing, and we can have some fun with it. All right. Now I actually did this. I don't usually do this sort of detail for just setting up schematics, but I wanted you to see what we're dealing with. Now, again, I took the 3D views and did a find edges, but I want you to see specifically what I did for the front and side and top, etc. As you can see, I took the tires off, so you can see here's the basic shapes we're looking at. And these are obviously the axles that will hold the wheels, and then here it is without those axles, and then here it is without any of the support structure that would hold the wheels or anything else. From the back, you can see obviously the engine. From the side, you get the whole shebang, and then without the wheels and the axle, and then just by itself again. So we can see a basic shape. We don't mind if we're going to have intersecting pieces in this. We're not looking to make sure that everything's vertice to vertice. We can have intersecting pieces, all right? Again, the top, this is without wheels. This is without the axles and underneath, and then this is just the main chassis area. For this is actually the underside. We have two different pieces that make up the underside. We have the front of this particular piece, we have the side of it, we have the top of it, so this is the shapes. And then we have this back piece here. You can see the area that's carved out where the engine will actually sit. This is it from the side, this is it from the top. And that's these two pieces here. In fact, we can probably see is down in here. You have the two pieces up here, and then you have this one back piece, and they all go together to make this one view right here. By the way, this is a really nice intake. You might want to look to add some slats into that, really catch some air, etc. And of course, we've got side view and the front view of the wheel. Now, the wheels in this quick sketch, the wheels are exactly the same, front and back. I think it'd be a lot more fun if the tread on each wheel, or at least the tread in the front and the tread in the back, are different. I think that's the way it actually is on regular cars, but especially for something futuristic, you want it to be able to grab a hold and dig in the dirt. I think it'd be cool if the ones in back had thicker tread and a different type of tread. When I actually built these, if I zoom in, you can see I actually built it so the tread actually has a scallop, like a scallop out of it in the front. That way it'll dig into the dirt. but we may not want to do that on both. Like I said, I think something on the front, or if I do this on the front, on the back, I'll do something completely different. If I do this on the back, on the front tire, I'll do something else. Obviously, the hubs are different, or the the wheel covers, etc., whatever you want to call them, are different, and we do want to make sure we do have that difference between the two of them. Also, if we go for um, actually in the this front view, you can't quite see it, and I thought I actually did a shot from the front in here, but I didn't because I was trying to break this down for shapes. But the wheels in the front are actually also thinner. The ones in the back are thicker. And so we do want to make sure we maintain something like that as well. We want those tires in the back to really be more industrial heavy duty than ones in the front. We do want them all to be thick, but the ones in the back we want to be, a whole lot thicker. If you want to double up your back wheels, that's completely fine as well. It's not a problem. Again, your end result may look something like this. This might inspire, this whole tutorial, but what you'll actually end up with as an end result will be completely up to you, and I'm sure it'll be different than what I'm looking to build. I'll just go ahead and look to build something just like this in Maya. And of course, in Maya, here we are for this particular scene. There's a lot of different ways we can look to build this model. Now, please keep in mind that in Maya, I have to use a Maya that's usually a year or two, or a version or two that's older, because I do a lot of tutorials and a lot of things for students. A lot of times students themselves don't have the latest and greatest. They usually have about 2 iterations back. So some of what I'm going to show you, you could probably do it a little quicker, maybe in the most recent version of Maya. But a lot of what I'm looking to show you for this particular tutorial isn't new to you anyway. It's just a matter of, creating shapes, adding in some details, and then do an export into KeyShot. This isn't super complicated, but hopefully it'll be fun. All right? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Oh, and by the way, before we get started, just to let you know, we're not looking to make anything super low polygon. Conversely, we're not looking to make anything super high polygon either. We want to build this with a decent poly count, where we can cut in edges as we need to, add beveling as we need to. So when we do subdivide it, it still keeps the sharp edges, the tight edges that we need. But we're not going for something super low polygon. Also, this is Maya. I'm not here to teach you how to use Maya. This is for those that already understand, how to model. Doesn't mean you have to be advanced, but certainly I hope you know how to use Maya, where you can navigate around it and build from it. Okay. All right. So again, let's go ahead and just start with. We're just going to start with a cylinder. I'm going to look to build the tires first. I'm going to go ahead and just click this, do a rotate, and I'm going to go ahead and change this to 90 degrees. Also, for the initial cylinder, I think I will go for 32 sides to it. Again, we aren't doing something super low polygon, but we're not going to do something super high polygon either. All right, let's go ahead and move this into position, something like here. Now, the front tire and the back tire do have similarities. Again, we're going to change the tread, and the hubcap is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and put a transparent material, I should say, on my tire, my object, my polygons, so that I can see what I'm doing with it. All right, so right off the bat, we're going to go for scaling. We want to get up to about the inner trim just underneath this particular tread. Okay, so we've got that in there. Now, technically for this, I'm not looking to use these faces here, the polygons. By the way, also, I'm going to be using, again, for recording purposes, if I hit F10 in here in Maya, it's edges, but F10 for recording actually turns off the recording. So I'm going to have to use my little controllers up here for vertices, edges, and faces. you will obviously have F8 to get into and out of Subobject. You'll have F9 for vertices, F10 for edges, and F11 for polygons, okay? So keep that in mind. For me, I actually have to click in here, and I'm going to go ahead and delete those faces. I don't want those particular faces. All right. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, and I'm going to grab this particular edge and just double click it right off the bat. Now, we can do this again. There's a variety of different ways we can do all of the things I'm going to be showing you. I'm just going to do what I think is easy rather than complicated. So hopefully, you learn something from that as well. I'd like to kind of work smart by not working hard. So, for instance, I know in one of the latest Mayas, once you got this selected, you can just go right for scaling it in. Now, obviously, this is an old version. I can't do that. So I have to do an extrude. And instead of extruding, I'm just going to go right for scaling, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull that in a little bit. All right, if I go to my, if I go to my, I can go to the top view and do this. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out a little bit. And actually, I'll scale it up a little bit, something like that. And by the way, while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and pull these over and kind of edge them up here. And of course, that's when I find out that I haven't aligned my my planes exactly correctly. This obviously should be, if I'm going to go ahead and grab it, I should be back about something like that. So I do apologize. Sorry about that. All right, so go ahead. Let's go back into this. I'm going to go ahead and get into my edge. Again, F10 for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and do another extrude, another scale. And again, I'm going to pull it out a little bit. By the way, I'm changing views by hitting the spacebar key. That's been around since I don't know how early in Maya. So you guys should pretty well know that particular one right at this point. All right. I'm going to go ahead and again do an extrude. Now, by the way, once I'm doing an extrude, I can actually go ahead and scale this in and then do G to, again, repeat the last function, and then of course go right in for scaling it in a little bit. All right. And I want to go ahead and pull this in a little. And then of course I'm going to go G, W, I'm going to move it in and going to go ahead and just scale it in just a tad. All right, something like that. There we go. All right, so we're going to be looking at doing a hubcap, but again, because I want to use the same basic tire shape, but different hubcaps, on this particular piece, I'll probably look to go ahead and stop, because I do want two different pieces, and the only way I'm going to get that is if I actually stop here, because I do want two different pieces, but also it's going to look like it works together. I'm going to go ahead and do a Control D, and then I'm going to go ahead and scale it. Oops, I guess I should have scaled on the Y. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and move this over here. I'm going to go to my top view. I'm going to go ahead and center point my CP. It's center point. It centers the pivot point in my particular object. I'm going to go ahead and grab these two objects now, and I'm going to combine them and kill the history on them. One of the things that Maya is really good about is, of course, copying and duplicating, but it also doesn't like a history, and history tends to really screw your models up. So I like to weld the verts. I have two different weld tolerances. I just want to make sure that it's squared away as I can be with that. I actually like that I'm a little thicker than what I should be, but I'm okay with that for this back tire. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I'm going to go ahead and now do a Control D. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this one forward. Oops. Let's go ahead and just pull this. And I can center this one up. I just don't want to right now. I just want to get it kind of in there. All right. Here we go. Something like that. Okay, good. Good. All right. So now, of course, I can look to actually, what I could do is I could look at creating the tread. Should I or shouldn't I? One of those things that kind of debate which I should do next. You know, what's more important. I tell you what, I'll just go ahead and just add some more pieces so that I can look to subdivide. I'm gonna go ahead and grab one and then another, and then I can go ahead and do a actually it's a connect under mesh, I believe. Edit mesh, I think. Connect. There we go. I want one more over here. Oops. And hit G. Again, by the way, I'm grabbing one edge, holding shift, grabbing the next edge, and then you can just do it again. It'll do the whole edge loop all the way around. All right. Now for this particular one, I do want to create that kind of angled edge. Well, actually, you know what? I don't know. It's one of those things that I debate sometimes while I'm doing these things, because I could make a really cool curved thing, but I think in the back it'd probably look better if I actually did like pieces chunked out rather than. I think I'll save this tread for the front one, but for the back I definitely want to do something completely different. So while I'm contemplating that, let's go ahead and look to create our hub, or whatever you want to call it. Let's go ahead and just move it over here. All right, so we're going to extrude R to scale it in, and I'm going to do that. And go back over here just to make sure. Okay. Go ahead and do an extrude R, pull it in a little bit, and then I'm going to get on the move tool and pull that way in, something like that. Again, this isn't, this is sort of the sort of stuff that I mean, I'm just doing scaling and I'm just moving vertices in. This isn't, again, super complicated. So I'm not actually stating each point. Because again, this assumes you know how to use Maya to be able to get certain effects, etc. I'm going to go ahead and do a G and then an R. Scale that in. Let's just line that up. Oh, actually, we almost lined it right up to where we needed to. Outstanding. Okay, let's go ahead and do a G and a W. We're going to move this up and out and go ahead, scale it in a little bit. Then GW again, we're going to pull it out, scale it in. GW to repeat last, and then move, and then I can go ahead and scale it in a little bit more. Okay. GR, in this case, I'm just going to go straight for scaling. Actually, I'll just scale it right on down to basically nothing. All right. And then so I'll just grab these vertices. Actually, shouldn't grab the vertices. I'll grab the edges. Let's see. Should have just kept them selected, but that's okay. I can do Control Z or just do this, in which case I'll just go ahead and do a collapse, and now all those vertices are welded. All right. So there we go. Now on this interior, I don't want obviously the same thing. I want to keep it, again, something simple. So going to double click an edge, extrude R for scaling. I'm going to scale this like that. Then again, G to repeat. W to move. Pull this out. GR to repeat and scale, something like that. GW in GR scale. I'm going to scale it right on back down, and then of course collapse. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what this looks like. I'm going to apply just a particular Lambert. All right, so there you go. It's a simple tire, but that's what we were looking to do. We were looking to create a the actual tire, and then of course the tread or the hubcap with it, which of course is completely in the hubcap in the front here. Now, for the one in the front, what I'll look to do is I'll look to create a hub, and then I'll create this piece completely separate, and then of course insert it. But right off the bat, that's pretty good shape for a tire, pretty good look. Let's go ahead and take the wireframe off of it just for a second. So yeah, there we go. All right. Now on this back one, of course, I want to look, I'm going to turn the wireframe back on. Again, you can create shortcuts for all of this. I have to keep as much of the default stuff as possible when I'm doing tutorials because, of course, I do so many of them. And again, as I said, students have older versions of this. So for this, I'm looking to create like some big square type of things, but I'm not sure really what's the best pattern for this. I mean, I could do something like, if I get into my polygons, I could do something where it's going to be a piece like this, and then say these pieces here will be raised up. Then I could do something like these three are raised, and then 2, and then 3, and then 2, and then 3, and the whole way around. Be kind of interesting to do something like that. But I could also possibly, I mean, it's going to be something like this, something like that. Actually, I think it'd probably look better if I were to do something more in towards the front, so it's going to grip it. Something like that. But what I think would probably be the smart thing to do for this particular thing is if I'm going to do something like this, I'd like to actually make the treads separate and then do an array. So it'll just rotate all the way around, and then do an instance. So whatever I do to change these treads or add to them, whatever, it'll affect all of them at the same time and make it, you know, kind of stupid simple for myself, which that actually might be kind of a pretty good idea to work with. So let's go ahead and make sure we first save the file up. We don't want to lose the work we've done, and we'll continue. All right, so I've got these polys here. What I think I'm going to do is, I think the smart thing to do is duplicate the model and then have just these polygons selected. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of the sub-object, do a Control D, which is duplicate. I'm going to hide the one that I know is good, and then on the one that I know I want to work with, I'm going to go back into my sub-object, and I'm going to hold my Shift key down and just click and drag over all of it. That'll deselect the ones I want to keep, and I can delete everything else. All right, so with that done, I'm going to go ahead and grab these polygons, and I'm going to do an extrude. I'm just going to extrude them up, and then I also think I'm going to go ahead and just pull them in a little bit, tweak them in a bit. There we go. Now when I do the extrude, of course, it gives me bottom faces. I don't need those, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete those out. They aren't necessary for what I need for this particular tread. All right, I think that'll work very nicely. I'm going to go ahead and unhide my tire. Now my controls for hiding and unhiding are going to be completely different than yours. I use Control H to, I've set my short up as Control H is hide, Shift H is bring it back. And by the way, I have my outliner I keep to the side because otherwise, if I try to do this and try to teach, it makes it very difficult. So my outliner and my hypershade are off to the side. I have a 2-screen system. All right, so let's go ahead and select just the, let's get out of the sub-object. So let's select the tread. Now, For this particular tread, for what I want to do to work, for doing a rotation like an array, the pivot point way over here needs to be more centered towards the wheel itself. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch to my orthographic, which I believe is right. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and center the pivot point on that tread. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my wireframe, which is 4. It's been around again since very early Maya. All right, let's go ahead and hit the insert key, which of course will bring me up my pivot point. And now I can click and drag. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. I want to get it to say this point and something along there. There we go. So that's now the center point, which is great. So now what I'm going to do is, again, I can duplicate this now if I want. For instance, let's go ahead and do like say an E, and I can do Control D, and then of course I can click and drag, but that's kind of hard work. Let's go ahead and do, in fact, the array type feature, and that's under Duplicate Special. And I have a shortcut on my particular ribbon, but you can find it up under Edit, Edit, Duplicate Special, okay? So I'm going to click Duplicate Special. Now the shortcut usually, or the standard is usually that it's going to be a copy, blah, blah, blah. I don't want a copy. I want an instance. So whatever I do to this one tread will do to all the other treads on this particular tire to make it very easy for me. I also want to make sure I'm going to rotate on the X, and the degrees is 20 out of 360. I also think I only need to do, if I remember correctly, I think it's 18 duplicates around this. And now we just go ahead and click the Duplicate Special. As you can see, boom, I just got my tread. Now, again, what I can do is, right, that looks really good. I just want to double check that my last tread and my first tread, oh, it's the same thing. So let's go ahead and click the last tread and delete it. We don't need it. All right, so here is our tread. It looks really cool. I like it. Let's go ahead and alter it. Of course, that's the whole point of this is, we can do something to just this sort of stuff. The first thing I actually want to do is I'm going to grab the vertices. Of course, it grabs all of them, but that's okay. Just going to go ahead and now pull it in. Again, you can see as I pull it in, it's affecting all of them, which is exactly what I want to have happen. All right. Great, awesome. Now what I want to do is I want to grab these faces and these faces. All right. And I'm going to do another extrude, and I'm going to pull this up. And of course, I'm going to scale it way in. All right, something like that. Oops, and I need, of course, now to extend this out so it's not quite so pulled in on everything. In fact, I'll pull it out a little bit more. I'm going to grab these edges here and here, and I'm going to go ahead and pull them in. Nice, works great. Awesome. And now I think, that would really be cool. I'm going to grab this one piece here, and again, I'm going to do an extrude. I'm going to pull it up, and I'm going to scale it in. Yeah, there you go. That's pretty cool. I like that a lot. All right, please make sure you're saving your file as we're working on these things, obviously, because we don't want to lose anything that we're working with. All right, now what I think I might do a little bit more to alter things is I think what I'll do is I'm going to grab these faces or these vertices, and I'm going to pull them in. Grab these faces, I'm going to pull those in. I want to see how that affects everything. Oh, good. That actually gives a nice edge against this. We had an extra little edge going on there. I like that a lot. Let's go ahead and pull this up a little bit. And we'll pull this one in a bit. There we go. Oh, I like it. Okay, great. Now again, because we are doing this so that, again, what we're doing on one is going to repeat on the others, let's go ahead and look to add in our edge loops. Now, again, for me, I have a shortcut for it's up in my ribbon. I can do the insert edge loop. For you, it will be found, like most of the actual tools, will be under mesh tools, insert edge loop, okay? I just have a shortcut so I can turn around and just clink it, and then I can go ahead and I'm gonna grab that right there. I'm gonna grab this one up in here. And again, this is so I'll show it to you, but this is so I can keep some hard edges when we go for subdividing this, okay? Make sure you want to get all those edges, otherwise it's going to collapse when we subdivide, and you'll see when I'll show you when we do this so you can see it. But you have to be careful about when you're doing this and where you're adding the subdivisions. If you aren't careful, you'll watch your polygons collapse. You'll go, what happened? And it'll be like, well, you forgot something. I'm gonna go ahead and get in an edge loop right in there, and then I think that's it. All right. So now, if again we were just do a representation of what this would be smooth, so I can hit the 3 key, and of course you can see. Oops, let's turn the Wi-Fi off. You can see that that's what the tread is going to look like. It's been subdivided. It's a little soft, but it's a little hard, and that's great. Keeps a nice look to it, and I like it. So we want to be able to make sure we do something like that. And then of course, again, we can click the 1 and that'll go back to what it was originally. That's good to know. As I'm looking at it, I think maybe the tread, of course, you know, as we're working on things, tread might be actually a little high. So I'm just going to pull this down a little bit, and I'm going to get this one down a bit and grab this and pull that down. I think it's a bit high. Let's take a look at that, and then of course do the subdivide simulation. That's much better. I like that. I like that a lot. All right, let's go ahead and turn that off. Please make sure you're saving your file as we're working on it. I did a Control S. All right, so we've got our rear tire. Great, awesome. All right, so now let's look at creating our front tire, and of course that has a completely different hubcap in the front and on the sides, and we want different treads for this one. So what we'll do is, for this, I do want to keep this particular, if we go to it, there we go. I think I want to keep something like this. So I want to go ahead and I'm going to, like we did before, I'm going to get into my edges. I'm going to bevel, and then I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to do edit mesh, connect, and again do that again, G. I think that should be enough. Now what I want to do is I'll go ahead and do this in the top view, if I can get to it. All right, so I'm going to actually rotate these vertices around for this to happen, for this to work correctly. Let's get into our side view, hit F to frame it. All right, so let's go ahead and hit E so we can rotate. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate something like this. I want to take a look at this as I'm working on it. Okay, that's good. And I could go ahead and now, oops, do not rotate from the top. Okay, don't do it. All right, so now again from the side, I'm going to go ahead and rotate this a little more. And you know what? I want to want to split. Let's go for this. Oops, sorry. Grab and then do that. And again, we're going to do a edit mesh connect, because I now want to go ahead and grab these interior most vertices. And of course, I'm going to go ahead and do a rotate on them as well, just to get a little bit of a fine point on that. Now, did that actually technically do anything to our model? Let's go ahead and just put a quick Lambert on it. No, it didn't. But it gave us a treadwear that I want to be able to use. Didn't change literally the shape of the model, which is fine, but it gave me that tread that I want to be able to have dig into everything. All right. So now, like we did before, by the way, while I'm thinking about it, just to keep these things organized, I'm going to go ahead and grab our back tire and our back tire, and I'm going to hit Control G, which groups them. And then I'm going to call this tire back. And I'm doing this in my outliner. Okay, so that way I can select one thing at a time. For this will now be, just for now, I'm just going to call it front tire. Okay, that was typing it in, hitting enter. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and Control D to duplicate. I'm going to hide my first tire. I don't want to mess with that, so I'm going to hide that. Going to go to my tire here, and let's go ahead in the subobject, or in the subobject, we're going to go for, going to grab these faces here, and I'm going to click and delete everything else, just like we did before. Okay, I'm going to hit F to frame this. Now with this selected, I'm going to extrude. I'm going to go ahead and pull this in, and I'm going to go ahead and squeeze it in a little bit as well. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, but now the difference is I actually want to create that harder edge that is going to dig in. Okay, so I can do that a couple different ways. I can go ahead and do another extrude, lift this out, scale it in a little bit. And then what I want to do is I want to grab these vertices here, and I want to actually, let's grab all of those vertices. And I want to grab this, and then here, and I want to grab this like here. All right. Didn't quite do it. Oh, I have to do duh. In order for me to have this actually go all the way through, I have to grab, actually I need to grab face, grab all these faces here. In the left view, I'm going to now pull them forward. And yes, that's what I wanted. And then I'm going to grab edge, edge, edge. I'm holding my shift key, let's use like that. Shift key to select those. And I'm going to go ahead and pull them out a little bit more like that. There we go. Also, while I'm thinking about it, I want to, actually no, it looks like I should have enough. I was going to pull it in a bit, but I don't think I need to, widthwise. Yeah, no, that looks like that'll work very, very nicely. Very nicely indeed. Actually, I think for the back though, I might actually want to pull these in a little bit. I'm going to grab these edges here because I want to keep that front scalloping so it looks like it's going to, dig in. But in the back, I think I need to pull this down, and then I'm going to hold the control key down and deselect these, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull that down as well too. Something more like that. Now what I could do is insert an edge loop, pull it in here, and that way I can look to pull these up. Oops. I want to pull these vertices up a little bit. There we go. Yeah. All right. Now, I don't want to do our treads just yet. I want to get something more for a center point for our hub. Just make sure you save your file. All right, so like we've done before, I'm going to go ahead and get into Subobject, get into our edge. I'm going to extrude and hit R to scale it in. Now again, the hubcaps are different in the front than they were here. Oops, let's go ahead and turn 6 on so we can see what we're doing. All right, so that hub actually comes, oh, I thought so. All right, so we have to come in and then again, G, W, move it in. By the way, I almost never, especially for something like this, almost never do straight on 90 degrees. You know, when you're doing extrusion, you always want to get a little bit of a, see a little bit of a curve in here, a little bit of an edge, because if you have everything that's 90 degrees, that might actually be in real life, it doesn't look good, and it doesn't read shadows correctly, etc. Okay. All right, I'll go ahead and did another extrude. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this in, pull it in down to here. Okay, G, W, push it back. We're going to scale it in a little. And yeah, we have one more. G, R. I'm going to scale it in right into that. And G, W, move it back. Scale it in. G, R. I'm going to scale this right down until they all get there and then hit collapse. Awesome. All right, that's looking good. Love it. Please make sure you're saving your file. Never want to not do that. Let's go ahead and we're going to do over here. Now again, for this, it's a little bit different. Our last command was save, so it's not going to allow me to scale anything. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and do an extrude scale. I'm going to pull this in. I'm going to do another G, W. I'm going to move that in. And we're going to pull it out, scale it in a little bit. G, R. And then G, W. Pull it out. G, R to scale it. And I'm going to pull it out a little. There we go. G, R, scale down. Technically, it's going to, you know, the axle is going to fit in here somewhere. I don't know where for sure. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a GW and scale it in just a little bit. And then again, GR, I'm going to collapse it down and then just hit collapse. Cool. So we've got the interior there. It's a little different than the back one, as you can see. So that's cool. That's fine. All right, go ahead and make sure you save that. All right, so this tread, we're going to do our tread now. Again, the same way we did it before. We're going to look to actually, let's see. Let me turn on my wireframe so I can see what I'm doing. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to have to pull slightly off. Okay, so let's try this. I'm going to do, I actually have to, let's do our center point. We're going to hit the insert key. We're going to grab this, move it down. I'm going to move it to that center line and move this to that center line. Hit insert again so we're out of it. All right. We're going to duplicate special. Again, we're going to do an instance. I believe since we're doing 32, I think I need to technically do 31. I think. Let's try. And again, instance, so. Let's see what this looked like. Okay, but I think I did too many. So that, I'm just actually counting through them on my outliner, so I know what I'm dealing with. So it was 18. Yeah, it was 18. So I just did a bunch of them I didn't need. That's okay. Just gonna go ahead and grab them, hit delete. Again, because they are, oh, look at that, that's good. Because they are instanced, which is great, I'm gonna go ahead and hit my 4 key so I can see what I'm doing. Oh, and actually while I'm thinking about it too, I need to delete out the bottom faces. So I'm going to hold my control key and I'm just grabbing all those extruded faces. And I'll make sure we don't have anything we need to keep. Nope. All right, so let's go ahead and hit delete. We don't need them, so I don't want to have them there. I'm going to go ahead and grab, I just double clicked on an edge, on the bottom edge, so it'll give me everything I need right off the bat. I'm going to just pull that in a little bit. You know, again, we want it to intersect with our tire itself. All right, I like it. All right, let's go ahead and look to insert our edge loops. Okay, so I want to go ahead and grab one there. So we're doing the, oops, let's do that again. Let's see, there we go. Oops, let's try this again. We did not want that. Grab, there we go. So we want the one in front, we want the one in the back. Okay, let's turn our 4 key on. We want one down at the bottom. So when it subdivides, it'll subdivide the correct way. Let's go ahead and make sure we have one on this edge. There we go. And one over here on this edge. Good. I also want to go ahead and I want an extra edge right on this. I want to really keep this this one edge here. Really keep that in there. All right. So now, if I grab this and hit our duplication simulation, which is the 3 key, ooh. You can see that kept it very nicely. Hold on, let me turn that off, and I'm going to turn off the wireframe. Oh yeah. Okay, awesome. Awesome, that's just what we wanted. Okay, make sure you save your file, and oh, look at that. 2 different tires, that's great. That is awesome. That's what we want to actually see. Now, funnily enough, if I grab the front tire and all its components, and then grab the front tire and do Control G and call this tire front. Let's spell this correctly. Okay, great. So now with the tire in the back, I'm actually just going to hit the 4 key so you can see it's a little on the thin side. So I'm going to go ahead and center this up now, and I'm going to scale it out on the width a little bit. There we go. There we go. Awesome. Okay, make sure you save your file up. I think we've done a good job so far.